Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gridiron 2022. Dr. Ron Poniewasz, football MD, and Professor Larry Kelly, the man in the classroom for Lawrence County football. We are the Gridiron crew, and Larry Kelly is the varsity baseball coach at Neshannock High School, as you may see from his sweatshirt, and he's a member of the Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly, and George law firm, and we are the state runner-up for podcast for the 2021 year, and we are back with you here for another week. Larry, welcome back.
Where'd you get your MD degree? Like, what school did you get it online? Is it one of those ones they mail it to you in a cigar wrapper? I mean, I want to know.
Same place that you got your football teaching degree, in the bottom of a Cracker Jack box, probably.
All right, okay. Just checking. That's all. All right, just checking. I mean, normally when you're a doctor, there's a certificate on the wall. There's something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got your certificate right here, cuz. Right here.
Did you get it? Did you get it for us?
Yeah. They came today.
Are you serious, or you just you breaking my chops? Oh yeah. Was there one that says Larry Kelly or no?
There's two with my name and two with your name, because, as you know, we are runner-up in basketball and football, gridiron and tip-off. So
all right, that's good to go, man. I'm going to hang that up in my office.
Now we got proof.
Yeah, if they say our show's terrible, or some of our listeners, don't think we have any pedigree, no, we have proof, right?
We got proof.
All right. Who was the winner? Who beat us out?
Nobody knows. At least I don't know.
Well, I'm going to find out, because that's, I want to watch their podcast if it's better than ours. But anyway, all right, we're ready to go. I'm fired up and ready to go here. Talk about Matt Ioanilli, athlete of the week. Tell us a little bit about the 5'9", 180-pound senior from the Neshannock High School.
All right. Well, yeah, as you mentioned, Matt Ioanilli is our athlete of the week. 13 carries for 129 yards, one touchdown. It came on a 33-yard run in a 40-21 win over Elwood City Lincoln on Friday night. Larry, the great numbers for Matt Ioanilli. Great performance as always. He's one of their bell cow guys. That carries the ball quite a bit. Certainly, Johnny Huff carries it quite a bit from his quarterback position. So Matt Ioanilli, our athlete of the week. Your thoughts on Matt Ioanilli, the Lancers ball carrier?
Well, 130 yards on 13 carries, that's 10 yards a carry. Even my math can figure that out. And, had he done this a year or two ago against Elwood City, I'd say, no big deal. It's Elwood City. But the Elwood City Wolverines are a different football team. And they came to play at Neshannock on Friday night. And these statistics that Matt put up are real, and that's quite a game against a pretty good football team. It's a pretty good football team. Elwood played them tough. Elwood ran for 268 yards themselves, so they were moving the football. So pretty good football team. But Neshannock ran it for 300. Matt had 130 of them, 129. He almost had half the yards on 10 carries. That's a big time performance in a pretty big game for the Lancers.
For the year, Matt Ioanilli has 84 carries for 532 yards and 13 touchdowns. As we all know, he's getting a lot more carries now since Peyton Weaver suffered a season-ending injury in the second game of the season. So he's certainly a guy that Fred Mazzocco can count on from the running back position. Larry, any thoughts on what he's done this year with his opportunity to step up and carry the mail, so to speak?
Well, next man up. I mean, he's averaging 6.5 yards per carry. That's pretty impressive. I don't care what level of high school football you're playing. You can run it 6 yards a carry every time you touch it. You're playing pretty well. And look, Neshannock is known as a team that runs the ball. The teams they play have normally 8 guys in the box. They don't normally throw it for a lot of yards, even though they threw it for 121 on Friday. So he's gaining his yards against stacked defenses that are set up to stop the run. So He's had a really good year. He stepped in, next man up, and he's played really, really well, and certainly very deserving of athlete of the week when you can run it for 10 yards a carry again against a really good Elwood City team. I got a lot of respect for these Wolverines and their coach. They've come a long way from the team that went about 3 years without winning a game. They played the Lancers tough, and I read Coach Mazzucca's comments in the paper, and he wasn't surprised. He kind of expected that this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other, be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
We're back with you here on Gridiron for our final segment, and it is going to be our scheduled portion. We have 5 games on the docket this week. First off, Wilmington is off this week, and they are awaiting the playoff pairings. I believe those will be released on Saturday or Sunday. I'm not overly optimistic about Wilmington, but I'm more confused with District 10. They're either going to have a four-team bracket, I think, or a 6-team. Figure it out, get it right. Put it in writing what the criteria is. Not this backyard wiffle ball on the fly. We'll figure it out as we need to. No, figure it out before the season starts. It's terrible. Wilmington did not have the greatest of seasons. I believe they've got a 5-game losing streak right now. They actually scored first last week, took a 6-0 lead against Grove City. That was the first time they scored all year in the first half of region play. And then Grove City took it to them for 35 unanswered. So right now that's where Wilmington's at. They're awaiting word on the playoffs, if there is such a thing for them this year. But Larry, we've got 7 WPIL teams closing up shop this week in the regular season. They are Newcastle, 0-6 in the Parkway, 1-8 overall at Blackhawk, which is 2-4 in Parkway play, 3-6 overall. This is for pride for Newcastle. Blackhawk is going to the postseason, so Blackhawk's looking for momentum, possibly a little bit higher of a seed if that could exist. I doubt they'll get a home game, but that's where we're at, is pride for Newcastle.
It's amazing that in today's world, Blackhawk's going to make the playoffs. If they win Friday, they're still going to be under 500 in conference and under 500 for the season. But yet you can go to the playoffs. If I were czar of the world, I'm not so sure if you have a losing record, you're going to the playoffs, because you're going to be cannon fodder for the team that you're going to play the following week. And, football is a very physical game. And but yeah, they're going, and let's just hope that the Red Hurricane, as you say, steps up and can finish the season with a win and a bright spot. It would be wonderful going into the off season where there's a lot of work to be done, to do so with a win.
Shenango 2-3 in Big 7 play, 2-7 overall. At Laurel, 5-0 in Big 7 play, 7-1 overall. Laurel won the Big 7 Conference Championship outright last week with its big win over Summit Academy on Saturday, 68-14. So again, this one is for pride for Shenango, and Laurel is playing for possibly a number 1 seed, or definitely a really high seed. They will certainly have a home playoff game. Larry, any thoughts on this one?
Well, yeah, listen, it's a rivalry. I learned pretty quickly that when Shenango plays Laurel, it's a rivalry. It's a rivalry between the teams, between the schools, between the fan bases. And Shenango has been playing better. I know they lost to Leechburg last week, 42-35, but they ran the ball for 250 yards. Some of their young guys are coming into their own. And, look, they're going to show up. If Laurel thinks they're not coming on Friday, they're going to show up. The Wildcats are going to be there. And I think it's going to be a competitive game. But Laurel's an excellent football team. I believe one of the best teams in the WPIAL and their classification, and they should get a high seed. They deserve it. They've earned it.
Probably the game with the most stakes involving a Lawrence County school. Pits two Lawrence County schools going head to head, and that is Neshannock 5-1 in Midwestern Athletic Conference play, 8-1 overall. They're traveling to Mohawk. Mohawk fresh off a win on Saturday afternoon, 22-6 over Western Beaver. That game that clinched a playoff spot for Mohawk. Mohawk is now 4-2 in conference, 4-3 overall. The winner of this game gets the number 2 spot out of the conference, and the losing team, well, they are possibly subject to tiebreaker points, and that may come into play to determine third place. And right now, the tiebreaker points are Neshannock is +40, Mohawk is +26, and Western Beaver is +26. And that's courtesy of our friends over at Trib Live. So naturally, you want to win for many reasons in this game. You can lock up second place and totally avoid those tiebreaker points for sure.
Mohawk, again, I give them so much credit. If you think about where their season started and how far behind the 8 ball they were because of the inability to practice and play for what amounted to, I believe, 3 weeks, and where they're at now, I give them a lot of credit. They always play Neshannock tough, especially at Mohawk. So I expect this game to be closely contested. And Neshannock's a very good football team. But Mohawk plays tough, especially at home. And it seems like with each passing week, the Warriors are getting better.
Larry, if I was to tell you in a fantasy world, it won't happen for obvious reasons, but Neshannock and Mohawk, Laurel and Mohawk could play one more time. That's who Mohawk opened the season with, and it didn't go very well for Mohawk. If those two teams could play again this year, how much different would that game?
Oh, it'd be big. It would be a huge difference. Now, I'm not saying Laurel would win, because Laurel, again, is one of the best teams in the WPIAL in their classification. But I don't suspect that it would be the blowout that it was that day. Remember, Mohawk went 3 weeks without practicing or playing. And, the teams that they were, Laurel, I believe at that point, had already played 2 games, had already had at least 1 scrimmage. So, it was certainly a situation where Mohawk was at a disadvantage. I believe it would be a different game.
Absolutely agree. Riverside, which is 3-3 in the Midwestern Athletic Conference, 4-4 overall, travels to crosstown rival Elwood City Lincoln. Elwood is 1-5, 2-7. Riverside going to the playoffs. Elwood City playing for pride. Boy, wouldn't that be a feather in Elwood's cap to not only knock off your crosstown rival, but remember they got rid of their 27-game losing streak earlier in the season. They snapped that, and to go from such a long losing streak to win 3 games in a season, boy, that will really tell you how much this team has improved. I
mean, it's a rivalry. Listen, my my kids went to Riverside. When you play Elwood City, there's a little it's a rivalry. Let's just say it that way. And I believe that Elwood City is going to be playing their first game on their new stadium turf. If I'm not mistaken, this will be the first game. Second game, Ronnie? Okay. I know they just laid the stadium turf. So there'll be a big crowd. The fan bases, the student bodies will be heavily invested. Should be a good game. It should be a good game. And if Elwood City wins this game, it certainly will not surprise me.
Yeah, they opened it for the homecoming game last week against Beaver Falls, which, to me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you explain it. They played Friday, the homecoming game against Beaver Falls, and then Monday, it's our grand opening. You just had it on Friday. That was your grand opening.
Well, that's what I thought. I mean, I thought I read somewhere that they said it was a grand opening. So, but the stadium is beautiful. The turf is beautiful. It really is. We don't live too far from there, and I get to see it on my way to work every day. So, should be a good game. Riverside Elwood, always a good game, and this is a different Elwood City team. It really is. I give their coach a lot of credit. He's had a lot of success in his career. and it looks as if he's turning this Elwood City program around.
Lastly, we have Summit Academy, which is 0-5 in Big 7 play, 1-8 at Union, which is 3-2 in conference, 6-3 overall. Now here's what we have for playoff scenarios, Larry. If Southside Beaver beats Rochester, Union will take third place. If Rochester beats Southside, then tiebreaker points may come into effect. And Southside Beaver is plus 22 on the tiebreaker points. Rochester is plus 15, and Union is plus 10. Again, courtesy of our friends at Trib Live, HSSN, the broadcasting network. Naturally, Union's going to win this one. Name your score. The higher the seed for Union, the better. They could possibly get a home playoff game. Stay tuned, essentially, is where we're coming from on that.
I'm sure the Scotties are disappointed in their game against Southside Beaver last week. It wasn't a typical Union Scotty game. It wasn't. I mean, they only rushed the ball for 83 yards. They were down, it was 35-0 at halftime, maybe 28-0 at halftime. So, listen, they've had a great year, and they just ran into a buzzsaw at Southside Beaver. So, they're going to win Friday. They'll beat Summit Academy. And I give those kids from Summit a lot of credit. It's hard to play football when you're not winning. And not only are you not winning, you're getting dominated. But those kids show up every week and play. And I give them and their coaching staff a lot of credit. But Union will win. They need to get back on track. I think their coach, if you ask him, is going to say, okay, we need to be fundamentally sound. We need to play an airtight game without a lot of penalties, without a lot of mental errors, without a lot of mistakes. Let's hold on to the ball. Let's not turn it over. We're going to win, but let's do it the right way, and let's get ready to go into the playoffs.
All right. Congratulations to everybody around the county that has got through the high school football season. It's a tough sport, very physical, very demanding. So you got one more week to go. Stay the course. If you've clinched a playoff spot, again, congratulations. And we'll be back here with you next week to talk playoffs. Who's playing in the playoffs, where they're playing, their opponent, all that sort of stuff. Anything else, Larry?
No, it gets exciting at this point forward, to win, in the playoffs. Again, can't make mental mistakes, can't turn the ball over. You have to do the little things consistently well. And if you do that, you got a chance. Neshannock, Laurel, those two teams have a chance to make a long run in the playoffs. They really, really do. So I'll be anxious to see how it turns out for them.
All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody, here on the award-winning Gridiron. We will be back with you next week to talk more about our teams. Until then, good luck to our teams. We'll see you next week.
As a veteran, I fought for our ideals, that we are a nation of laws, that the laws apply to everyone, and that no one is above the law. So if you've been hurt in an auto accident, I don't think you should be pushed around by some insurance company. Not on my watch. I'll work hard to protect your rights. I'm not afraid to go to trial, and I've never run from a fight. I'm Chuck Garbett, and I'm proud to serve the people of Lawrence County.